Sky Squad, we are back in the building, and we got to talk about last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, this isn't going to be a review. This is going to be a pre-review, if you will. We're going to be talking about the incident between Marlo and Drew at the end of last night's episode, and I wanted to do it in a separate video because I just felt like it would have made the recap video extra long. And I felt like it was important because Marlo is pointing out some things that I feel like we need to understand and dissect in its own video. So let's go ahead and dive straight into it. So Marlo took to Instagram last night, and I think this was maybe like a live, and she saved it on her Instagram, which I'm glad she did because I think it gives further context into some things. So let's get into it. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you will know that when we do these types of videos on YouTube, we're going to provide commentary in between bits and pieces of the video. So I'm just giving you that fair warning right now. So let's get into it.
So real quick, I know y'all like, what the hell is going on with Marlo? Why was she yelling at Drew? So just to clear the stuff up, do y'all remember, and let's get on here and not be biased. Hear me out. I'm going to just tell y'all where I'm coming from.
Don't be biased now. I don't care if y'all biased or not. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter to me.
I'm going to let y'all get your notebook, pens. Hi, Tight Newt. You're going to know where I'm coming from. You're going to listen. So y'all remember last week when Kandi and Todd was at our Blaze? And do y'all remember when our producer stepped in and said, hey, we're not going to address the elephant in the room? Remember when nephew came in with the cast on? Y'all remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now let's go back to this week's episode. So we're all in the winery in the back. There was another episode. There was another elephant in the room. The producer said, hey, there's an elephant in the room. None of y'all gonna bring it up? Talk about anything. Courage to bring the elephant in the room. None of y'all gonna bring it up?
So I want you guys to pay attention right here. She said the producers said, hey, there's an elephant in the room. None of y'all gonna bring it up. Now, this is, again, what happened with Kandi and Todd when they were at Blaze. And, you know, Kenya said something very interesting on the Speak On It with Kandi. And she said that that's happened quite a few times with producers wanting them to kind of get to the meat of what it is that they kind of want the cast to talk about. And Kenya says, you know, sometimes we like to be able to address those things in a very natural way and in their own way, which may unfortunately take a bit more time than possibly what they could have to spend on a topic. So it's interesting that this was being like, it makes me think that the episode was kind of that whole moment at the end with the ladies was, it felt like, was this all pieced together to make a moment like at the end of this particular episode? I don't know. It just seems very interesting. Like, you know, where's the natural dialogue here? You know what I'm saying? But we'll continue to go further.
Y'all, every single person was scared to bring it up. And Drew, I give her props. She was the only one that had courage to bring it up. But when she brought it up, Drew said, y'all can really tell if you look at it. The incident that happened, girl, this was on the news. There was.
So here I have obviously muted the word that she actually used because it's YouTube, and you know, sometimes YouTube can be finicky about these sorts of things because they want to keep the content family friendly. And I suppose Drew was trying to keep it family friendly as well by not saying the word either. Okay. Because Marlo's issue with Drew is that I think she felt like Drew was sugarcoating it, because if you watch the scene, I think what Marlo is saying is correct. I felt like Drew was, I mean, you could tell there was some fear, you know, in her about bringing this up. Like, ooh, I don't want to do this, but it sounds like if the producers are telling us somebody got to do it, it might as well be me, but I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because I want to keep this paycheck or whatever like that. So the use of the word incident versus the use of the word that actually happened, right? I'm assuming that this is what Marlo is upset about, because I feel like if you say incident instead of the actual word, I think that Marlo feels like it's downplaying it and making it sound less severe for the sake of benefiting Kandi. Does that make sense? Let me know. Shout down in the chat if you understand what I'm saying.
At Kandi's restaurant, Blaze was on the news, but poor Drew was so scared, and she was the only one with enough courage to say, And I mean, when I tell y'all, Kenya, everybody looked at that girl like, if you don't be quiet, this is Queen Kandi. We don't talk about anything negative that happens to her. So that triggered me, y'all. It really did. It took me back to where my nephew, who used to work with Kandi, who used to work for Kandi at Old Lady Gang, he got
So here she's referencing the nephew that she mentioned at the end of last week's this week's episode. And you guys can actually go back into her Instagram and you can actually find, I think this happened in maybe 2020 if I'm not incorrect. I was reading an article about it last week, and because when I saw the initial preview, and I thought to myself, okay, so this happened in what, 2020. Her nephew obviously is no longer with us as a result of the incident, which is very unfortunate, and we send warm thoughts and prayers to Marlo and her family about that. But this incident is what happened 2 years ago. Well, I guess it will be 3 years at this point in time, and Marlo is bringing this up because apparently the nephew worked at Candy's restaurant.
I called Kandi, reached out to Kandi, told her about it. And to me, I didn't get the acknowledgement I wanted from her. She didn't acknowledge it. Then, as you see, I went into her home a day or two later, and she had as if I never even texted her about it.
So in the episode, we see that Candy had responded to Marlo and said, dang, I'm so sorry about that. But I'm guessing maybe Marlo was expecting something more. So when Marlo brings it up in the scene, that we saw in the episode, the flashback, we see Candy reacting to what Marlo is saying.
To me, it's all about the acknowledgement. It's about, if it was Marlo, let me tell you this, it had been Marlo. I get it. I get incident sounds better than, but don't you think defending myself sounds better than me somebody?
So what she's saying here is, for her, incident, I'm using the word incident because I got to keep it family friendly. Obviously, of course, it's YouTube. So with her, there was a situation where, Candy brought up Marlo doing something to someone's face. And so Marlo is saying, doesn't it sound better to say, the incident where I was defending myself versus saying that I did something to someone's face? She's making the comparison.
Somebody? I'm confused. But this is my friend now. This is my friend who tried to get me a TV show. This is my friend who referred me to an agent. This is my friend. So if I call you and tell you my blood nephew, my sister's firstborn, was that used to work for you, he didn't work for you 10 years ago. He just worked for you. His death has been 2 years now, but he had just was still working for you less than 5 or 6 months ago. And you're not going to say, girl, I'm going to send flowers. I'm sorry to hear that, sis. Let me send a platter from Old Lady Gang. Let me reach out to your sister. Come on. Come on. I mean, how do you not acknowledge that? So do y'all get where I'm coming from? So any questions you have, ask. Because I want y'all to really be clear on.
It's it's two situations here that are being kind of put together, in my opinion. One is the use of the word incident to, I guess, in Marlo's stance on this, maybe used to sugarcoat what actually happened. The second is this idea that Candy didn't do enough after Marlo lost her cousin, because the cousin, nephew, worked in Candy's restaurant. So two separate issues, but they're being merged together.
While I was yelling, that shit triggered me. It triggered me to where here we go again. We sit here. If it's anything negative with Kandi, it cannot be discussed. It won't be discussed. But let it be something negative with Marlo, it's going to be discussed. It's no way in hell if this would have happened at La Archive. If Kandi nephew worked at La Archive and there was a shooting at La Archive, but they said, oh, the incident that happened at La Archive, y'all know that they would have been negative with me. So it is what it is. So I can't make y'all change out the way you feel. I don't know how you feel. I just want y'all to know. And that's why I yelled at Drew. So that's just where I'm coming from there. I'm not going to stay on too long, but I wanted y'all just to understand that. It's just what's good for the goose is good for the geese. And at the end of the day, what someone said
The
on here,
gander.
I'm very sorry that happened to you and your family. Thank you. Why are you bringing it up now? Why am I bringing it up now? Because y'all, listen. The
Good
only reason
question.
I'm bringing it up now is because Drew brought it up. Drew said incident was a trigger. Her nephew at one of her restaurants. My nephew that used to work at Old Lady Gang, not at her restaurant. Now, my nephew was not at her restaurant, let's be clear. But he used to work for her. And it was just the acknowledgement. It's the acknowledgement. Acknowledge your nephew's incident. Acknowledge my nephew's incident. You don't never acknowledge shit. That's the problem.
Now, this is interesting place that we're at with Marlo here because she's saying that she wants Kandi to acknowledge. She even said it. I think she said acknowledge the incident, or she either said it here, or she'll say it later. Um, I guess the thought is, does Marlo know what Candy's said or has not said in her own scenes? Is she privy to that information? Because how does she know that it hasn't happened? Or is she just upset because it's not being acknowledged in the group?
Acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. I'm sorry. Shit happens. You have a lot of good things that happen in your life, but bad shit happens as well. Oh my God. And I mean, it just kills me because it's share your reality. Your reality is not always just happy things, Kandi. It's not. Share your reality. I'm feel really bad right now. You know what? Marlo nephew was working for me. He just got killed. My nephew was at work. We had a shooting there. Share your reality. It's just not always. It's not fair because we all have ups and downs. And I give my all. I give my everything, y'all. And y'all know that. Since I've been here, I don't lie about shit. I give y'all everything. Oh my God. Watch What Happens Live on yet? Not yet. It's about to come on. Turn to it, you guys. It's on.
Marlo was on Watch What Happens Live last night. I did just get finished watching it because I was watching Summer House and I had to honestly turn it off because something happened that triggered me on there. But so I didn't get a chance to see Marlo on Watch What Happens Live until just this morning. She didn't really give any more intel on this situation on Watch What Happens Live. So, I mean, you can watch it if you want to, but it's not going to give you any more deep intel like we're getting here.
So I just wanted y'all to know that. I just wanted to clear that up because I know y'all like, what the heck? Why she was yelling is actually.
This is you. You came to one of my books.
It's called Being Real. Yeah, it is called Being Real. Oh, Jordan is so cute. Are y'all watching it now?
You remember?
Huh? And then the thing about it too, y'all have to realize y'all only get an hour. An hour. Do y'all know how many damn hours we film? Do y'all know how many hours we film to give y'all 1 hour? Okay? But that's why it's so important.
I mean, my thought is if y'all filming all of these hours and we get what we got last night, which we're gonna talk about in the review. Oh, yes, the review is coming up in just a bit. Trust and believe. I'm a little worried about the season. I mean, I am because last night's hour could have been a 20-minute episode, but I digress.
Give your reality. Because y'all only going to get an hour of those 13 hours we can film for the day, okay? Reality is playing, disrespecting your husband. I'm not worried about any of that. The only thing I'm trying to ask y'all to understand is the triggering from her nephew being at one of her restaurants, my nephew being my nephew who used to work for her.
Let me ask you guys a question, and I'm just thinking about this now, and I might mention this in the review because I haven't filmed it yet. But my thought is, if this was triggering for Marlo in that moment, would it not have been interesting to have Marlo bring this up in the group? When Drew mentioned that, Kandi had an incident, because she did stammer and stutter her way through it, as Marlo kind of indicated. Would it not have been interesting if, Marlo mentioned in that moment, like, honestly, I gotta stop y'all because this has been weighing on me since this whole incident happened, and I kind of feel triggered all over again. But Kandi, I feel like, you know, you never really acknowledged what happened with my own nephew. You know what I'm saying? When he worked for you. So this to me is bringing back up old memories, and I just kind of feel like, stuff is happening and you're not saying nothing about it. I feel like that would have read a bit more authentic than what we got, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. I'm saying if that's how she felt.
LOLGB didn't can acknowledge it. Don't never want to acknowledge it. And everyone that night when we was at City Winery, they were like, "There's an elephant in the room. Ain't none of y'all gonna ask Kandi about the." They were scared. Nobody, no one.
And that's also kind of weird too. I mean, when a producer is saying to you, like, hey, we want you guys to talk about this and prompting everybody to talk about it, and that person's there, that's a little weird. It's kind of like, and so when you see when you see Drew is asking this question, you're getting these reactions from everybody because everybody's already kind of like, I ain't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? If what Marlo is saying is true, it's kind of weird. It's just kind of weird.
And I'm seeing
And I feel like, shouldn't they have given y'all some notes before y'all got to the scene? Like, somebody gonna have to mention this. Who is it gonna be? That way they not mentioning it mid-scene. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm just basing this again on what Marlo was telling us.
like, what? Um, okay, Drew, you have enough guts out of all of us ladies in here. Which I would have said something. I just want to be quiet because I know how y'all go. Oh, Marlo hating on Kandi. Marlo hating on Kandi. But Drew was so scared. Drew said the incident that happened. I'm like, what? And you'll see more though. So I'm gonna let y'all go now because you're gonna see a lot more. This is just the beginning of it. You'll see more and hear it out. But I had to at least give y'all.
And so I'm assuming this is gonna, continue to play out. Andy does indicate that on Watch What Happens Live as well. But I just feel like we could have got to some meat and potatoes if Marlo had addressed the person that she was actually upset with versus addressing Drew, because clearly whatever it was going on with her and Drew was not you mad at her for saying the word incident. But if you really wanted to talk about it, instead of being in your feelings that Kandi was not talking about something that you guys felt like she needed to talk about, then I do feel like, Marlo, at that point, you can't care whether or not the audience thinks, oh, we're gonna say, oh, you hating on Kandi. If that's a real issue for you, then bring it up. Like, it can't be like that's one of the issues with reality TV right now in general. I feel like is that you know it shouldn't be up to Drew to bring it up because the producers prompted her to bring it up. If you have an issue, Marlo, then you bring it up because that is your issue naturally. You know what I'm saying? That to me is how we make good television. You know what I mean? So y'all just let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. And again, we will talk about this more in the actual review that will be coming up in a few hours. With that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.